So now let's see a few more other problems that we can do with if, okay? So I want to take some scenarios, means some requirements, and how we'll be able to achieve that requirement using the if-else statement, okay? So let's try to see those things again. So we'll sort out a few more other programs. Once we are able to understand them, if we are able to do, we can move on to the next statement, okay? Now saying that, so what I wanted to do is, I'll give a number. Okay, so I'll be giving you a number. So there will be some input that will be coming to you. So you should be able to take that number and you should be able to tell whether that number is an even number or an odd number. So if you have to write this particular program using a if else, how you generally do it, right? So generally what we'll do, so we have to write a program. Okay, so write a program to check what? To check whether the given number is even or odd. Okay. Now I wanted to achieve this particular requirement. So how we generally do? So what is needed? So when we can say whether a number is an even number or an odd number, when we can say whether a number is an even number or odd number. Firstly, let's tell me when you can say a number is an even number. How you'll be able to tell? Can anyone? How you will be able to tell whether a number is even number or not?
2 for multiple divided by 2, we can say it is as even.
Yeah. So if you divide any number by 2 and if the remainder is 0, if you are getting the remainder as 0, then we can say it is a even number, right? And a number which is divisible by 2, we call it as a even number, right? So now generally how we have to write it? So for dividing how many operators we have? So there are 2 operators which are available as part of Java for performing division. Okay. Now I need to look for a remainder or I need to look for quotient when I divide and when I wanted to see the result, and based on the result, if I have to say whether the number is even number or not, out of those 2 operators, which operator I should be using? Which operators among those 2 is going to give you remainder as a result? So we know, right? We have this and this. These 2 operators. You people can recollect under which topic we have covered this? Under which operators we have covered these 2? Under which operators these 2 operators comes?
Arithmetical operator.
Right. It comes under arithmetic operators. Right. Now, so in these 2, which one will give you a remainder as a result? So there are 2 to perform division. So using these 2, we can perform what? Division. Now, out of these 2, which one will give you a remainder as 0? Remainder as a result? Whether this one will give you or this one is going to give you. Which one will give? Anyone remembers this? So if I divide
Second one, division.
Yeah. So this is modulus. We call it as modulus operator. And we call this as division operator. Okay. So we call it as division operator and we call this as modulus operators. So to get a remainder, okay, to get remainder as a result of a division, then we have to use modulus operator, right? Now, what is that I have to do? As we came to know that if I give a number and if I can divide that, okay, it will give me a result. So now if I check that result, whether it is 0 or not, then based on that, I'll be able to tell whether it is correct or not. Am I right? So now I'm giving you a number. Okay, so what is the number I'm trying to give you? So given number is 7. Okay, I have given you a number. Now you should be able to tell me whether this is even number or not. So what you will do, you will take this number and you will do division to it by using 2. Okay, now this operator, as you just came to know, this operator will give you what? This is going to give you remainder as a result, right? This will give you remainder as a output. Now, 7 modulus by 2, what is the remainder that you will get? You will get remainder as 1. Now, if I check this, okay, if I have to check this, whether it is 0 or equal to 0 or not. So to check whether this result is equal to this. So which operator we have to use? Now I wanted to check the equality between these two values. So which operator I have to use?
Equal to operator.
Perfect. You have to use equal to operator. So this is how we have it. So if you take a number and if you divide this with a modulus, as we need remainder as a result. So this modulus operator, this one will give you remainder as an output. Now that I need to do what? I need to compare that with 0. Okay. So now if this condition is true, then I want what? I want to print this. This is an even number. If not, I wanted to print that is an odd number. Okay. So I wanted to achieve this. Okay. Let's write a class for this now. So you understood, right? What is the condition that you have to form in order to give this condition to if? So this is what the condition. Okay. You need to give this condition to if now. So let me say if demo 2. Let me write a class. Now this class requires what? A public static void main method, as the execution starts from this method only. Okay. Now what I wanted to do here, I will give you a number. What is the number I'm giving you? 7. I'm giving you a number 7. Now what I want to do, I want you to check and tell whether it is even or not, for which I'm taking the if condition. Okay. So this is the if case. And what is this if is going to take? If is always going to take a condition which results to true. Okay, so for which I'm writing the expression here. So A modulus 2, if it is equal to 0, then what I want to do? I wanted to say system.out.println of A, okay, is a even number. A is a even number. Else what? Else I can also say that, okay, A is a odd number. If this condition is false, what does that mean? Then else is correct, right? So we understood that what? If you have if and else, if you have both statements, then in both the statements at a time, okay, in a given time, how many statements will get executed? If I have written if statement, also else statement, among those statements at a time, how many blocks will be executed? How many blocks will be executed? Both the blocks.
Only one block.
Yes, only one. Either if will be executed or else will be executed. But in a given time, both will not get executed. Now, if this condition is true, if block will be executed. If the condition is false, then else blocks will be executed. Now, writing else to if, is it mandatory or it is not mandatory? So if I write a if block, following that block, writing a else block is mandatory or it is not mandatory? So can I have if like this? Can I write just only if and can I remove else? So if I write like this, whether this code is a valid code or it is not a valid code.
Valid code.
Right. So you can have if without else. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I'm removing if here now. I wanted to remove if and I wanted to have only else. Now tell me, is this a valid statement? Can else can be written without a if?
No.
No. So it is wrong. You can never have else block without a if block. Understood? So there should be always else should be always following a if block. You cannot write else independently. Okay? It should be always following the if block. Right? Now let's close this program and let's execute this. So you people will try this instead of me demoing this. Anyhow, I'll be giving these notes, right? Can you afterwards, can you practice this? Just open your editor and try to write this program. Will you able to do it or you want me to demo it in the editor? Is it fine? You will be able to do it? Or you want me to execute this? Okay. Let me write it down. Or otherwise. Okay, so let me take an editor. Okay, I'm going to my editor. My editor is Sublime Test. I'm clicking on new file. So let me write a class. So how to write the class? Class keyword followed by if demo 2. Open the flower brackets and write everything inside the class only. So what is the first statement I need here in this? I need a main method. Okay, so and that main method should look like what? Public static void main followed by string arguments. Now, what I need to do, I will give an input. Input name is a, and its type is integer. And what is the value I'm passing to that particular variable? 7. Okay. So now what I want to do, I want to check whether this number is an even number or a odd number. For which what I'm doing, I'm taking that number, I'm dividing it with 2. I will get a reminder, and I am now comparing it with equal to operator with 0. So I can tell whether a number is even number or odd number if it is divisible and the remainder is 0. When I divide, if the remainder is 0, if I divide it with 2 and if the remainder is 0, then we can say that number as even number. Okay. So now for which what I'm doing here, I'm just trying to print that number. So what is it? I'm just saying A. A is even numbers. Okay, and if the given number is not a even number, if the condition is false, at that time I wanted to say that is not a even number, it is an odd number. For which write one more statement in the else block and say is is odd number. Okay, A is odd number. Let me close this and let me save this file. The command S, and let me name this class name same as this file name same as the class name. Okay, so why I'm doing it like that, you will come to understand in the future classes. So just give the extension and save it in some folder. I'm saving it now. Let me go to command prompt. Okay, I'm in day 12. I'm just going back and I'm trying to go inside day 13. Okay, so I'm inside the day 13. Now I wanted to compile that file. So what I need to do, I need to use JavaScript command followed by if demo 2.java. Click on enter. If everything is good, it gets executed without any errors. Now it is good. Now I use Java command for executing this program. So I need to say if demo and don't pass the class extension and click on enter. So it is able to tell 7 is an odd number. 7 is odd number. It's not an even number. All right. Now let's take one more example and let's try to understand that. Okay. So what shall we do? I want this time I will give you a number. Now you should be able to tell me whether that number is a positive number or a negative number. Okay. You should be able to tell me whether that number is a positive number or a negative number. So how to tell whether a number is positive number or a negative number? Can anyone tell me? When can I tell a number is positive or when can I say a number is negative? Can anyone tell me this?
Minus plus.
Hmm. In a general way, not in the programming way, in a general way. If there is a sign and based on the sign, if you wanted to tell, you will be able to tell. But in general way, how you will be able to tell? Which numbers are negative numbers and which numbers are positive numbers? So anything greater than 0, can we say it is a positive number? And anything less than 0, can we tell that number as a negative number? Is it right or not? So any number greater than 0, we can say that as a positive number, and any number which is less than 0, we can say it as a negative number, right? So shall we write a program for this now? Let's write a program. Okay, so can you help me now? Can you people be able to help me? So write a program to check whether the given number is positive or negative. don't worry if you are not able to, I mean, what I mean to say, if you are not able to understand the logic or if you're not able to follow this, because these belongs to logical things, right? So programming is a logical thing, so which you need to practice a lot. So I'll be giving you so many exercises around logical programming. So you people can practice that and you'll be able to develop your logical programming. Okay. Now, if you're not able to understand or if you're not able to build the logic, don't worry about that. Okay. It's absolutely okay. So you will be able to do it once you are able to practice some logical programs. Okay. I'll give you some logical programs after we finish our control statements. Once we are done with control statements and once we are done with the strings and arrays, once those classes are completed, I'll be able to provide you. So daily you can practice on those things. And if you're not able to solve, I will be also providing you the examples and I'll be able to explain you the solutions to you if you're not able to solve. And also I'll be able to help you to refer to some websites where you can go and you can learn them. Okay. So once you practice those things, you'll be automatically, you'll be able to, you'll be in a position to understand and build the logical programs. Okay. Logical thinking, logical ability will be automatically increased. Now write a program for this. So what is that? So let me write a class. Now every logic has to be written inside the class, inside the method, right? If you're writing any logic, logic should be where? Inside a method, and the method should be inside the class. Now let me write the class now. So I want to write the class and I want to give the class name as if demo 3. Okay. So this is my class name. Okay. Now what I want to write my logic, which means that I need a main method. Okay. So I need some method. So yeah, basically here I'm taking the main method and its syntax should be public static void main, which takes string argument as a string array argument as a parameter, right? Now what I want to do, I wanted to check whether a number is a given number is positive number or a negative number. Okay, now I am saying int a is equal to 1. Now you should be able to tell whether this number is a negative number or a positive number. For which what we need to do? We just need to put our condition. We need to write a condition. Okay, and based on that condition, we should be able to tell whether it is greater positive number or negative number. For which what I'm doing, I'm saying if a is greater than 0. If a is what? If a is greater than 0, then, okay, you can say that SOP of a is a positive number. A is a positive number. Okay. So else. So now let me introduce you something else here. So you can write if again along with else. So we call that as else if. Okay. You can also combine else if. So how that can be written? You can say else and you can say now because I wanted to write one more condition. I wanted to change the conditions. I wanted to change the conditions. So I have multiple conditions. If I have multiple conditions, how to change them? At that time, we have to go for using else if. Okay, to not to make confused, just write else here and say f here again. Okay, just write else there and write one more if there. So that you can write one more condition. So I have multiple conditions. If I have only one condition, at that time, only one if is sufficient. But I have multiple conditions to check. Based on that, I wanted to decide which block has to get executed. In that case, what you can do, you can chain or you can you can chain the conditions. So how we are doing it? Write a else and give a space and say if and put the condition again. So if my a is greater than 0, positive number. If my a is less than 0, okay, if my a is less than 0, what I wanted to say? I want to say a is a negative number. Okay, and you can write a else again. Now this time I don't have any condition. In this, what I'm trying to say, I will say it is a 0. It is a just 0. Okay, it is just a 0. So I have multiple conditions and I wanted to change them. Then we can do in this way. Just else can be followed, else can be immediately with, else can be there immediately with if. Okay, this is a normal else and this is a else if. This part is what? Is else if. With this what? We can write multiple conditions. So how many times I can repeat this? you can repeat that any number of times. But where this has to come? After the if again. So if should be followed by what? If should be followed by, okay? If anyone is trying to write anything after if, so what should come after if? Else if or else. In those two, any of that can come. Okay, so else if and else should always follow what? Should always follow if. You cannot write else if and you cannot write else without a if condition. Understood? So that's about how this has to come. So and this else if can be repeated any number of times. Okay, so we will see that also in the future classes. Okay, so now this is how we generally write it. So using a if, else if, and else. So this program will be able to do what now? It will be able to tell whether that number is a positive number or negative number. Here I have given one, which means that out of all these conditions now, at a time, only one condition will be executed, one block will be executed. Not all the blocks. You might have multiple conditions, but at a time, either of all the blocks, only one block, which is going to be true for that particular condition is going to get executed, and remaining blocks are not going to get executed. Remember this point. So like if for if and else, if there are two blocks, at that time, how many blocks will get executed? At a time, only one. Here also, you may change any number of else, if else. Still, at a time, out of all the else, if and if else blocks, there will be only one block that will get executed. Okay. So now this is about positive number and negative number. So at least this program, people try to practice by yourself. Okay, you can write a program and you can execute this, because the code I have written it in the way it can get compiled. Okay, apart from SOP. So this SOP says nothing but system.out.println. Instead of writing the complete statement, I have written a shortcut there. Okay, so you people try this program. Okay, is it okay? You understood, or is there any confusion with this particular else if? You're able to follow this, or you have any problem with this?
Okay, sir.
All right. Now, so let me introduce you like how we can take inputs from keyboard. Like when I execute a program, till now we have given the values inside the program itself and we are using them. Okay, now let's say here, one second. Now let's say here in this, I have given 7 and I'm trying to check this. Right? Now, if I want to check whether 8 is a even number or not. So what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to change the value. Again, I need to go to command prompt, and again, I need to recompile this. Is it right or not? I need to recompile this. Okay, and again, I need to execute this. So what is happening here? What is basically happening here? So we are actually, one second. We didn't save this. Let me save and let me compile this program again. And this time 8 is even number. So it is able to take this input. So whenever I wanted to check for different numbers, I'm going inside the program. I'm changing the values. I'm saving the file. Again, I'm recompiling and again I'm executing. So what basically the input value happened in this program? What happened with the input that we are passing to the program? What happened to that? It got hard coded. Means it will not, until unless we come to the program, we don't change that is not going to change. So hard coding means what? So you have to come whenever you wanted to change the value, you have to touch the program and you have to change the value. So here any logic is getting changed? No, logic is going to be same. But what is the value? Value is getting changed here. Because of just the value, why we should be able to again do everything? Again, why we have to save again, why we have to recompile? So if it is a logical thing and we did some logical corrections, at that time it is fine. We go and we recompile and we do it. But just for a value, why we need to change the program? So what happened here? The value got hard coded. So instead of making the value hard coded, if you can pass the value dynamically, if you can give the input to the program dynamically, then it will be nice, right? So we no need to recompile and we no need to do any changes to the program. So the program will be able to take inputs, and based on the input from the keyboard, we will be able to execute the program. So in the real world, what happens? Yeah, whenever so like there is some person who is using a calculator program. So if you wanted to check something, you will just give the inputs, but you will not go and you will not change the program, and you will not going to do the execution of different numbers, right? So what you will do? You will just give the inputs, and the program which is back into it is going to take those input, and it is going to perform the operation, and it is going to display the output. So in real time, we never hard code the values. Instead, we always expect the values to be passed from the keyboard. Now, how to pass values from the keyboard? Okay, let's see that. Okay, let's see how to pass values from the keyboard. Instead of hard coding the input values, how to get the values from a keyboard, how to get the input values from the keyboard. Let's understand that. Okay, so for which what we have to do is we need to take help of a class called as buffer reader. Okay, so there is a class in Java which is a predefined class which is available as part of Java JDK itself. When we install JVM, so in the JVM, so there will be a library which will be maintained. Inside that library, we have this class. This is a predefined class which is coming from Java. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to take the help of that class, and then we should be able to take the inputs and we should be able to display them. Okay, so let me write some demo program of how to work with that particular class. Okay, so how to work with that class and how we will be able to take the inputs and how we can use that as part of our coding. Okay, so for which let me write a program and let me demo it. Okay, so what is this program about? So why I am trying to introduce here this particular program here is because we started writing logics, right? So for which we always expect inputs. So to check the program with different inputs, every time we can't go to the program, we can't change and we cannot compile and we cannot rerun it. Okay. So instead of doing that, just for value sake, if you can know the way of how to read the values from the keyboard dynamically, it helps you to test the program with different values. Okay, for that reason, I'm trying to introduce this particular thing at this point of time. Okay, now let's see this. So write a program, what? To read. To read the values, means the inputs. Values from where? From keyboard. Instead of hard coding the values, I want them to read from keyboard. Okay, now how to give the values, where to give the values, to whom we have to give the values, and how to give the values, how this is going to take the values, all these things, we will try to understand them. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm trying to write a class. Okay, I'm trying to write a class. So what is the class name? Class followed by, I'll say, reading data. The class name, I'm giving it as reading data. Now, where should my logic has to go? Inside the method. So I'm writing a main method. Instead of writing some other method, I'm just writing the main method itself. So I'm saying public static. One second. So public static void main. One second. Okay, I didn't share my screen. So what I'm doing, I'm writing a program to read the values from keyboard. Okay, so what I'm doing, so I have written a class called reading data. You're able to see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I'm taking this particular argument here. So what I'm doing here, so now what is the class that I need to take help through which I will be able to what? I will be able to take input. So for which, what is the class I have to take? There is a class called as buffer reader. Okay, I need to take the help of a buffer reader. Now, if I need to use or if I need to call anything, any method or variable in this buffer reader class. So basically what a class contains, I explained you, right? What the class contains variables and methods. Okay. Now, if I have to access those variables and methods inside the class in another class, what I need to do? I need to create object for that class. What I need to do? I need to create object for that class. Now, how to create object for the class? by using the new operator. So how to create object for the class? By using new operator. So we have came across how to use the new operator, right? So this is where we are about to use that now. So what is my class name? My class name is buffered reader. Okay, buffered reader. So this is the class. So now how to create an object? First, tell the class name followed by the reference variable name. So I'm giving variable name as br, and next followed by equal to. And now what you need to do? You need to take the help of a keyword called as new. Okay, followed by, you need to say again what? Class name with parenthesis. Okay, so reader, buffered reader, and this buffered reader within this parenthesis, we need to tell this buffer reader expects input, right? So this can take input from so many sources. It can take input from a file, it can take input from the keyboard, or it can take input from some other many other sources. So now you should be able to tell to this buffer reader, I'm going to give the input from keyboard. Now how I should be able to tell to buffer reader that I'm giving input from keyboard, for which you need to again take help from input stream reader class. Okay, we need to take help of input stream reader. So don't worry, you will get used to this. Okay, but for now, remember the syntax and how to write it. So now again, for input stream reader, if I have to use that class means I have to use any methods or I have to use any variables in that classes, I need to create an object to it. Okay, I need to do what? I need to create object for this. So how to create an object? Again, you need to give class name, reference variable name. Okay, and then you put equal to, and you need to say new followed by class name with parenthesis. Am I right? So now here, basically, when to use this particular line. Now, if you think that, so object is created. Once this object is created, and based on this reference variable, if you want to perform any operations, then we have to make this particular object to be referred with some reference variable. But I don't want to do anything. But as this class is some class is expecting an object, so do I still need to make that particular object to refer something? Means it is not required. Okay, if see, after creating, I want to use this class, I wanted to access the components that are available of this class means, then what you do, you just create the object and make this object referred by this particular reference variable. Okay, so this is, then if you want to make this object to refer with a reference variable, we do what? We just declare the variable of the same type and give the reference variable name. Okay, now here this buffer reader is expecting what? It is expecting a new stream input stream reader class. But input stream reader class, for which what I need to do? I need to create an object. Now what I need to do for creating the object? Again, I need to use keyword called as new, and I need to give the class name input stream reader. Okay, and now to this input stream reader, I need to tell, hey, from where you want me to read the values. So I'm a reader. I read the values in a stream manner. So there is an input from where I need to read the values, right? So you are going to give me values in from where? From the console, or you want me to give, you are giving the values from keyboard, or you are giving values from a file. From where you are giving? So right now, from where we are giving from the keyboard, for which you need to say system dot in. Okay, now close this, and sorry, first close this, because this is this one new input stream reader. Also close this, there is this bracket, right? Close this bracket also and say semicolon. Okay, so this is the way you need to create object for buffer reader. So don't try to understand this much, just try to remember the syntax. Okay, if I asked you to create a object for buffer reader and it has to take input from the keyboard, just write this like this. Okay, you'll understand all these things once we enter into OOPS concepts and rest of the things. Okay, then you will only understand this. What are we exactly trying to do? Okay, but now you try to remember this. When I asked you to create a buffer reader class, try to remember the syntax like this and just use it as it is. Okay, so don't stretch your head in understanding this logic, this code, because still there is a lot around the things. So a lot around this syntaxes and everything, which I have to explain, and those can be explained once we enter into OOPS concepts. Okay. Now, so with this way, so basically what I'm trying to say here, I want a buffer reader. With the buffer reader, I'll be able to read inputs from the keyboard. But how if I want buffer reader means I need to create object for buffer reader. Now, when I'm creating object for buffer reader is depending upon one class, which is input stream reader. So for which what I need to do, again, I need to create object for input stream reader. So input stream reader, what it will ask me to create object, it will tell me, it will ask me that, so you are going to give me the inputs, right? From where you are going to give me. So I want to tell to this input reader saying that I will give inputs from keyboard, for which I need to pass this value, system.in. Got it? So basically the entire syntax, the entire lines, what we have written here is doing that particular operation. Now, what I want to do next? Okay, so I just wanted to print some statements to the console. I want to print some statements to the console, and I wanted the console to stop for entering my values. So how to write it? For displaying the message. So what I'm doing, I'm writing one system.out.println method. Okay, so for what? For displaying the message. So what I wanted to print here, I wanted to say enter any string. Enter any string. Just this message has to be displayed on the console so that the person will understand, the end user will understand, okay, he is asking me to enter some string. He will be able to input it. Okay, so now I should be able to stop the command prompt to take my input. So how I will be able to make it? For which you need to say, now you need to use this particular variable. What is this variable? br dot, in this br means in the buffer reader, there is a method called as read line. What is the method? We have a method called as read line. You need to call this method. Now the cursor is going to stop there. You will see them. Okay. Now once I execute this program, once I write this program and execute in the command prompt, you will be able to experience how this is working. So basically, why I need this br now? To call this method. To call this method, first what I need to do, I need to do all these things. I need to create object for this. Now what it will give me? This read line is going to give me a string value as an output. So method will return something, right? So here this method is returning me something. So what is the in which data type it is giving me? In which way it is giving me is nothing but it is returning me as a string type. So for which what I have to do? I need to declare a string variable. So what I'm doing here? How to declare a variable? Tell the data type followed by the variable name. Okay, as this method is going to return what? A string. I'm trying to declare this using the assignment operator, you know, right? What happens to this assignment operator? Whatever is there on the right side, it will be stored inside this variable. Now, str is pointing to the value, whatever this br readline is giving us. Okay, in the similar way, let me say system dot out dot println. Okay, what I wanted to say, enter any integer. I wanted to do what? I want to enter any integer. Now, before that, I just wanted to print, I wanted to print what is this str is, whether the input what I have given, it is printing that or not, I wanted to check. How I have to check? Just say system dot out dot println. I wanted to print this str. Okay, so I will say str equal to plus str. Okay, whatever the input is given, that is going to be printed again on the console. Now, similarly, let me take another one. System dot out dot print ln enter any integer. Now I want some integer value to be passed. So again, so I have displayed this message in the console. Now that person has to give me that value. Okay, so for which what I have to do, I have to stop the console there. So for which what I have to do, I need to say br dot read line. You need to say br dot read line. When you call this method, cursor will stop for taking your input. Now, what I said, always this read line is going to do what? It is going to give you string as a return type. Okay, but I have what? I have integer now. I have a integer and I want that integer, that integer is coming to me as what? As a string. If an integer value is coming to me as a string, I need to do what? I need to convert that particular string. I need to do what? I need to convert that string into integer value. Okay, so this process we call it as parsing. Okay, we call this process as what? Parsing. If I have a value in one type and I wanted to convert that type into the exact type. So actually, in programming, any value can be represented in string format. Am I right or not? Number can be represented in string, symbols can be represented in string, characters can be represented in string. But integers, in integer, can you represent characters in integer? No, right? But in string, you can represent anything. So that's the reason readline method is taking everything and it is giving you in the form of string. But what is the actual type that is there inside the string? We know that the actual value that is there inside the string is integer. If we know that we have an integer in the input, so can we do what? Can we convert that? So the process of this conversion, we call it as parsing. So how to do this parsing? Simply what you have to do is there is a class called as integer. What is it? There is a class called as integer. So just say integer dot parse int. There is a method called as parse int. Now put this line br dot read line inside this parenthesis, inside this method parenthesis. Okay, so what is that I have used? Integer dot parse int. Here p small, I is int. This is a method. This is class, predefined class, and this is method. Okay, so now this method accepts what? A value. So what value? String. If I pass a string value to this method, it will convert that into integer. Now I can say what? I can say int I. I want whatever this particular method is returning. This method is returning. I want to store that value into I. So that value is what? Integer type. That's the reason I have declared integer data type. I have declared an integer data type based variable. So this process, what we are calling? We are calling as parsing. We are parsing it. Okay, in the future, I will change this term. Okay, by that time, you will get an understanding. But I have to introduce few things in the early stages. That's the reason I'm introducing this concept. It might feel complex to you, but as we are going to use them repeatedly in many places, in the future classes, it becomes very easy for you. But for now, it seems very difficult for understanding or to process this. But don't worry, just try to consider the purpose. The purpose, what we are trying to do here is, so I need an approach how I will be able to get input from the keyboard and how to take that input and how I can use it in my program. That is the whole purpose for which this whole logic is helping us. Okay. So in the future class, it becomes easy. For now, just try to follow this the same way what I'm trying to do here. Okay, in any exams, any times, I mean, any future examples, if I give any program, if I ask you to take in from the keyboard, you should be able to memorize this code and you should be able to write this code. Okay, now, shall we write a few more other programs, few more things? Or let's test till here. Okay, let's test till here because we might not have time. So let's test this and tomorrow I'll explain few more other concepts around this. Okay, now let's try this program and let's try whether we are able to get input from the, whether we are able to take the input from the keyboard and whether we are able to process it or not. Okay, now here also, let me print system.out.println of what I have to say. I need to say I equal to I, whether the given input, whether it is able to read and whether it is able to print or not. I wanted to test this. Okay. So, okay, let's test this. Let's write this program and let's check. Okay, so what I need to do here, let me go, let me say file, new file, and let me say the class name as, what is the class name we are taking? Reading data. Okay, reading data. So this class is, the purpose of this class is to read data from given source. So the source is now keyboard. Okay, now I wanted to write the logic and the logic should be written inside the method and I'm taking the method name as main method and the syntax is public static void string array of arguments. It can be anything. Okay, string of arguments. And now what I wanted to do here, I wanted to write a program. And now I wanted to take inputs for which I need to take the help of a class called as buffered reader. Buffered reader. So BR a variable and pass and create an object for this. So how to create buffered reader and open the parenthesis, and this one expects what? Input. This one expects input stream reader. Okay. So now to this, I need to tell that I'm going to give the input from the keyboard, for which you need to give this value system.in. When you say system.in, this will understand, this class will understand that it will take the input from the keyboard. Okay. So now with this, we are able to do what? We are able to create object for the buffer reader. Now, next, what we have to do? Let's try to write a statement. System.out.println. Okay, system.out.println. So I wanted to I want to display a message to the user for entering some input. So enter any string. I want him to enter any string. Okay, so let him enter the string. Now I want it to stop. Once this message comes, I want the console to stop and it has to take the input, for which what I have to write? I need to call the method from the buffer reader. What is the method name? I need to say read line. So this method returns me a string value. So that's the reason I am trying to do what? I'm trying to declare a string variable, okay, which will take the value that this is giving and it is going to store that value. Now, after this, what I want to do, I just wanted to display that in the console. For which what I'm doing again, I'm trying to take system.out.println, println, and I need to say str equal to str. Let me print that and let's see whether it is able to take the input and it is able to read and it is able to process it or not. Now, similarly, what I want to do, I want to uh, I wanted to write one more statement here. And this time I wanted to ask him to enter any integer. Enter any integer. Now, first, what next again? What I have to do? I need to make sure that it is stopping. The console has to stop for taking my input. So what I need to do? I need to use this method. Now, this value that I'm going to get is going to be an integer value, but it will come to me in the form of string. Now that value from string, I need to convert that into integer, for which I need to take what? I need to take the help of a method called as integer dot parse int and put everything, this whole line into this parenthesis. Okay. So this process, we call it as parsing. Okay. Now I want to take that value. So it is going to convert and it is going to come as an integer. Now I'm declaring integer variable I and I'm holding that value. Now this whole part get executed first and it returns me a integer. Now I want that value to be stored in a variable. That's the reason I'm declared a variable of integer type and I've named it as I and I'm giving this operator here. This operator, what it will do? It executes this first and whatever this is going to give the result, it is going to store in this particular variable. Okay. Now again, what I want to do, I just wanted to print that value in the console again. For which what I'm doing here, let me say this. Let me say I, and this has to display I value here. Okay. Now here I need to do a couple of things again. I need to do a couple of things. Okay. So there is a concept called package. As we initially discussed, there is a concept called packages in Java. Okay. So all classes, okay, now we are able to see so many classes here. What is that? I have buffer reader, I have input stream reader, I have system, I have string, okay, I have integer here, I have string here. All these are what? All these are classes only. So this is my class, and if you see string, this is a class. If you see buffer reader, this is a class. If you see input stream reader, this is a class. If you see system here, it is a class. Okay. So all these are what? And here integer. Integer is also a class. All these are classes, and these classes are predefined classes. Okay. So now all these classes are grouped under a common package. Okay. Now, basically in Java, predefined classes based on their functionality, they are classified into certain groups, and those groups are given some names. Okay, so what are the names for the packages that Java is giving is lang package, IO package, util package, like this. It is having so many packages. Out of all those packages, okay, there is one package which is defaultly imported. We don't need to write it explicitly. Even though if you don't write also, it will get explicitly imported. But apart from lang package, if you're trying to use any classes out of the lang package, we need to write the import statement for that class what we are using. Now, when it comes to that, this buffer reader class, it is not available as part of the lang package. As this is not available as part of the lang package and it is available as part of the IO package, we need to import this. Why we need to import this? Because this class is using and this class will not be able to understand from which place it is coming. Now we should be able to tell to the compiler or to the JVM saying that I'm using a class and that class is coming from a package. Now you can, for this class, you can go and check in that package. So how that information can be given to the JVM? By using a statement called as import statement. If you see in the initial classes, I have explained the structure of the Java program where I told the first statement that can be coming is package and the rest of the after that, the statement that can come is import. So, and I told you import statement is used for importing classes into our current class for using them. As I am using this buffer reader class and this input stream reader class, all these classes, so I have to do what? And they are coming from a different package. So I need to do what? I need to import them. How to import? For which the package, the complete package name I have to mention. So what is the complete package name? It starts with Java. Import Java.io. Okay, so now I wanted to import all the classes which are there in this package. There are two ways to import it. If you want only a certain class to get imported, at that time, I wanted to write like this, io.bufferReader. Okay, and I need to write one more statement here. For what? For the other class also. There is one more class I'm using as part of this package. So this is also coming from that package only. Okay, IO package only. Now for which what I have to do? I need to again import this. Now, if you don't want to write, if all the classes, if there are multiple classes coming from the same package, if you don't want them to be writing explicitly, then you can do one thing. If you want to import all the classes from that package, simply remove everything and use a wildcard character called star. What is the time? It's 8. Just give me a minute. We'll execute this program and we will close this in. Okay, just wait for 2 minutes. Okay, now what I'm doing, why I'm using this, as I'm using this class and this class is coming from a different package, that's the reason I have to import this. If you don't import this, this will not work. It will give you a compile time error. Okay, to avoid that, what we did, we have imported this particular package from which this class is coming. This class is coming. Okay, and I'm using this because as multiple classes are coming and we need to write multiple statements, instead of that, I want every class which is there in this package to be imported and to get used in this particular class, I'm using this particular approach. Okay, we'll talk about this in the future classes again. But for now, you understood, right? So what we are trying to exactly do, and there is something else I have to do for which I cannot explain you now, but let me write this statement. Otherwise, again, I'll get an issue. Okay, we'll talk about this again. So this code actually gives an exception. Okay, so that we just need to, and that exception is IO exception. Okay, I'll talk about exception and why I'm putting it like this in the future classes. For now, you just need to add this. This code is going to expect this particular statement, throw IO exception. If you don't write it, this code will not get executed, for which let it be for now. Okay, now let me save this class as what? Reading data dot Java. And let me save this. Okay, now what shall we do? Let's go to the command prompt. Let me clear everything because I'm seeing so many things here. Now let's compile this. So when we need to give inputs while compiling it or executing it, we need to give values while executing this, right? So that's the reason, just compile the class. If everything looks good, so there is some semicolon which is expected where at which line? Okay. So what is the problem here? System dot input dot buffer reader, semicolon, 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 and input stream. This I'm able to give, and for that I'm able to give. Where is it exactly expecting?
12.
Okay.
S is missing in system.
Oh, it is that. Where is it?
S word missing.
Yeah. Actually, I have
S letter
wrong.
is missing.
No, no, no. I
All
have used
that in
it's throws actually. You're talking about this only?
line.
Yeah. It is throws actually. It is not throw. I have written the keyword wrongly. So that is what it is complaining me about. Now let me execute this class again. Compile this class again. There is still so many errors. Okay. I have written the system name wrongly. System. Here also system. Okay. Now let me compile it again. Okay. It is saying IO exception. It is not able to find this. Okay, I have written this exception spelling wrong. Okay, it is exception. So I have written the spelling wrongly. Okay. So let me compile this again. Okay, this time it is okay. It got compiled. Now let me execute this class. Now we need to pass the input. So now once I click on enter, okay, so it has to display the message asking for what, enter any string. Now let's click on enter. So it is asking, and now see it stopped. Why it has stopped? Because of this line. Now it is expecting us to give an input. So let me give an input. So what is it I'm trying to say? str. Let me print hello. Okay, now once you give your input and click on enter, see, it is printing that value because the next statement I have given is to print it. So it is able to take that value and it is able to print. Now again, it is displaying the message asking to enter. Now if you pass your input, now again you need to pass the input. Let me say 10. And if you click on enter, again that value is displayed and the program has closed because after that we are not expecting any other inputs to be collected from the keyboard. Understood now? So what we are trying to do basically, we are trying to remove the hard coding by using the help of a class called as buffered reader. This class helps us in taking inputs from the keyboard or from other source through which we'll be able to read the values dynamically. Okay. Now tomorrow we will take the help of this class and we'll gather values from the keyword command prompt and we'll write some more programs and we'll execute them. Okay. So if you have any doubts on this, okay, apart from what I have taught, if you have any other doubts like how and why I'm writing all these things, okay. So as I said, these things will be understood when I enter into some other concepts. Okay. So when I enter into the next concepts, you will be able to understand more easily what I have actually did. But right now, as I told you, the purpose of this is to remove hard coding and to get the values dynamically. Till there, if it is clear, okay, now you can say that you are able to understand that. But if you still have anything else that's saying that I have so and so, I'm not able to understand so and so thing, you can ask me. You have any questions on this? Anyone is having any questions? But still, if you still have, as I said, okay, I'm always available. You can ping me. You can also post your questions in the group. I'll be able to answer you. Okay, guys. So process this, try to understand as much as possible. And few things you need to just memorize them and keep it. In the future classes, they will get resolved. But the concept of everything is the purpose of everything here is to remove hard coding and read the values from the keyboard, for which we tried doing this. And that is the whole purpose actually. Okay. So I'll share these things. I'll share the notes and as well as this program. So practice this. Okay. Practice these programs. All right, guys. So thank you, everyone. We'll meet tomorrow.
Subscribe for more videos and hit the bell icon for notification of videos.